everybody, it's Jaret for the Rockstar Dad Show. Coming up this week on the program, Ken Block from the band Sister Hazel and the Rock Boat. The original music cruise is going to be on the show, and it's a great, great conversation. That's this week on the Rockstar Dad Show.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know. Some rockstar dads who started a show. So here's the next episode.
Welcome, everyone, to the Rockstar Dad Show. How's everybody doing? Here's a music bed. Oh, yeah.
There it is. Now it's real.
Now it's real. I gotta figure out how to make that like more streamlined. I probably should just let Jack do all that in post. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Guys, later on in this program, we have shit. I forgot to hit record. Let's just do it again.
Yeah, that will streamline it.
Yeah. I don't know how to restart this. Okay, we'll go with this one. Welcome, everybody, to the Rockstar Dad Show. This is so bad. It's so bad.
We've got the rock intro, and then this one, I just feel like we're playing Sonic the Hedgehog.
I know it does. Man, I've just been forgetting to hit the record thing. Coming up later on the show, Ken Block, and if you're watching it this week, you're going to notice that the first part of his interview, it's just going to be audio only because I have to hit record on two different things, and I don't know why it doesn't register with me to hit it on both.
Hitting two different things is a lot of responsibility.
It really
so
is.
I'd completely understand. But since that part's just going to be audio for the video people, maybe we get like a snazzy photo.
Yeah, of Ken. Just a nice little photo of Ken Block from Sister Hazel. The Rock Boat will be with us later on. It's probably the best interview. It's in the top 5 interviews we've ever had on here.
Yeah, I mean, he's just such a great dude.
Yeah.
Hanging out and talking to him over, the onlines, the W's.
Yeah.
It is like we were just hanging out by the fire chatting with a pal.
If you tuned in last week for the Marty Ray project, we pretty much forgot to talk about fatherhood. We actually get into that with Ken. We actually do fulfill our obligation to the show, which is nothing. As I was telling you earlier, they're bringing back Beverly Hills Cop, and I just see all this stuff with them filming and I'm wondering if it's one of those things where it's like maybe just like a stupid commercial or something, and it's just like there's all the hype,
See, so I had questions here. First off, do you know is Eddie Murphy coming back for this?
Yeah, so Eddie Murphy's in it. Axel Foley's a thing. It's a deal, and they've got him, and he's all dressed up, and they're leaking news stories about it. But did you see all the hoopla with Snoop Dogg this week?
No.
Gary, this is so great because I feel like it's like our two worlds combined, and here's why. So Snoop Dogg puts out
our two worlds, meaning yours and mine, or ours and Snoop's?
Ours and Snoop's.
So he's doing like a Miller Lite commercial.
No, it's like two of our close. It's two of our worlds colliding together. So you and I pretty much exist always in the same world. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, he puts out that he's going to quit smoking, that he's going to quit the smoke.
Oh, boy.
And it becomes this whole thing. I mean, he's like, please, I'm talking to my family. I'm tired of my clothes smelling. I'm tired of coughing. Respect my privacy during this. It's going to be tough to get used to. Right.
Yeah.
And so
it's a whole different reality.
So I called Ian the other night. I had had a few cocktails, and I called Ian Vaughn, who, owner of Lava, who is one of Snoop's promoters. And I said, dude.
And been on the show.
Is this real? And he goes, I guess so. He's just like, we have not been told anything other than it's real. So I'm just like, okay, I guess he has. Now, all these other stars are coming out in solidarity and they're quitting smoking. Like the Mark Wahlberg's whole fucking quitting smoking story is out there everywhere now because his kid smelled it on his clothes. I mean, like, it's a really big deal, right? And then I think it was yesterday for here, but we're taping this.
The whole I know Mark Wahlberg, obviously different person, different scenario.
Yeah.
But like the whole idea of like, Snoop quitting to if it's because someone was smelling it on his clothes and he didn't want him to know, like that is just out there. Right. You're not hiding the past 30, 40 years of info.
Well, his thing wasn't that he didn't care if anybody smelled it. He was just, I'm tired of my clothes stinking. I'm tired of, just all of the things that go along with the smoke. Right. Sure. So here's where it's so fucking brilliant. And it actually feels good to me that we are in some way associated with this. And it comes out yesterday and it's it's him sitting there and he goes, listen, I'm just tired of the smoke. Again, he kind of goes through all of these things that he's been posting and then it widens out and he's sitting in front of a solo stove, a smokeless fire pit for which we have endorsed on this particular show and which does work and is smokeless, and he's just roasting marshmallows. And that was the whole thing. It was like a week-long to-do, and it's brilliant.
Gotcha. So he's not really stopping weed. It was just an awesome ad for an awesome product.
It was an awesome ad for an awesome product. If you are looking for something for your husband or just significant, it doesn't have to be a man. Women can like this thing too. You don't even have to be a woman or a man. You can be you could be a fucking alligator if you want. You're going to love this thing because it is completely smoked. Anyway, use Rockstar in the as the code and you get a discount. And I really didn't mean for that to be a ad for us. I was just telling you about this insane ad that he did.
Well, yeah, but actually you were telling me about Eddie Murphy coming back as Eddie Foley. And then we went off. But so I still don't understand that. Is that they're coming back as a movie, as a series, as a...
That's just it. So I don't know. You just know that, and that's
something's
right.
happening.
So that's the world we live in today, though, because they have to be so secretive on this stuff. It's like, and I know for a fact you probably don't know this because you don't give a shit about any of this stuff. But like in the new Trolls movie, you probably do know this, that that NSYNC is reuniting, right, for this Trolls movie. So
I think I'd caught wind of that.
Yeah. So they're putting out, like, they're actually going to sing in the movie. And so they've done commercials and they've had, all these photo shoots and stuff. So I don't think it's to the point where that band is getting back together. I don't know that Justin Timberlake wants that, but they're back together for this movie. Well, it's the same sort of thing. They announced that they were getting back together and started doing all these photo shoots and all these hints and stuff. And then the Trolls movie, what's funny is they've been advertising this boy band Trolls movie for, how they do 6-8 months. They never hinted at the fact that was going to be a thing. So it's two separate deals, really.
But that's good marketing, right?
100%.
It's good cross promotion. It's good word of mouth. It's good. You have a mystique. Oh my gosh, what's happening? And genius.
I mean, the whole thing is, it's funny because, I'm fairly good friends with Chris Kirkpatrick, and he's the loud one. And it's really funny because on some of the stuff that they'd put out, you just sort of see Justin, like he's like, I don't really want to be in here right now. Like he wants to go back to his quiet world, and he doesn't need the money.
No,
I don't know. Maybe that since then all that shit came out about him mistreating Britney Spears. God, I sound so gossipy, but I just fucking read TikTok. That's it. I mean, Instagram. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, you're filling me up on like the past 6 months of Entertainment Tonight news that I normally don't keep up with. Knew like here's what I know in that world. Britney Spears dances with knives. That's about all the info I got.
I mean, there's no way your wife doesn't know all of this though. It's just not the topic.
100%. You want me to go get her and she can finish this episode?
No, I don't. I'm done. I'm done with with this week entertainment this week. Britney Spears doesn't just dance with knives. She just gets like really, really scantily clad, and she just does these spins. It's like every other day on the internet, and she posts like 3 videos of her just spinning, and she puts her thumbs in her waistband and almost pulls her hoo-hoo out. And it's fucking
quality entertainment.
It is quality entertainment. I don't know. I mean, at first when I started following her, actually, at first it was more pictures, and she'd be laying on the beach, naked and like covered up in sand and on her boobies or something. I don't know. It didn't seem. Now it seems a little bit weird. It seems like we're watching. Like maybe we shouldn't be. Like, should somebody check on her again?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like a fine line, it's like the whole free Britney thing. She's, had no freedom and locked up, and then we let her out. Not we. I had nothing to do with this.
You had but you know about this.
She's let out, and then it's like, maybe someone should keep an eye on her. But
yeah, totally. I have big news for me. I put out a new TikTok video, and I crossed 200,000 followers on TikTok last night. Isn't that
nice?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And it's going up exponentially. Like today, I'm already like at 202 or something like that. Anyway, I've worked very, very hard. If you don't follow me on TikTok, you should. I've worked very hard to make my account entertaining. It's not like overbearing. It's like this show. Like we don't cram Bowling for Soup or Jaret Reddick down your throat. We're
not yet.
I
mean, we got tours coming up, so
that's gonna happen. All right. I got to tell you something about. Let's do a Thanksgiving preview. I'll tell you something about last night that was very sweet, and then we got an interview with Ken Block coming up later on in the show. So right now we're going to take a little break. We will be right back with more Rockstar Dad Show right after this. Back to the Rockstar Dad Show right here on Adobe Radio or wherever it is you listen to podcasts. Don't forget, we are on every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the internet on Adobe Radio, and which you can get from anywhere. And then on Wednesday, you can fucking just wherever you listen to murder or history podcasts or all of those things that you guys listen to.
I thought you were going to go back to or murder,
murder, which I do listen to. I'm so disappointed with my favorite podcast though, because he just goes sidebar so much now that it makes it not interesting. Like I really want him to tell me the story and just shut the fuck up.
Now, when you say sidebar,
yeah,
because I feel like it's a little hypocritical of you to not like him for going sidebar.
Right.
But
I am the sidebar fucking master.
Yeah.
But people don't listen to this to hear me tell. He's telling one story. You know what I mean? So like, but he'll get off on. I mean, like yesterday, like on this one, it just was fucked up. Like he does stupid shit. Like he's telling a story. He's like, and so he didn't put the maid on the phone because she was hysterical. And then his sidebar was because it's a maid, and obviously didn't speak fluent English. If you were wondering about that, but that seems obvious, And it's like, okay, I don't really know why that was necessary, but it's that kind of shit all the time, and it just gets old. Yeah, I mean, but it's that. Yeah, it's like he tries to be. I think he thinks he's funny.
Yeah,
and. You know what? He's cast a lot of lines out there. Every once in a while, one of those things is funny, but the majority of them are. Anyway, bums me out. But so last night I was working late because I was trying to get a few things done, and Everett came up and he goes, "Dad, dinner's ready." And I go downstairs and I'm like, "What are we having?" And he doesn't answer me. And I get downstairs and he and Casey made me a little mini Thanksgiving dinner.
Get out of town.
Yeah, like they made. She got like this, which was really good. She got this thing like called freezer to oven turkey. It's kind of small, but like the size of like a oh, I don't know, it's like a ball.
like a game hen or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it was good. And then she made like the mashed potatoes and and I like peas, and she made that macaroni and cheese, and just did a nice little so that Everett could have some stuffing, and we could share in that too. Because my family is going out of town. In fact, they left today, and I will be spending my Thanksgiving with the Wisemans.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I knew they were leaving today. I didn't know if they'd already left.
Yeah, they left today. Rob is stuck in an airport right now on his way here because he and I have a show tomorrow, which is why I didn't go. And I'm going to be honest, I was just honest with her anyway. I was like, you know what? Even if I didn't get a show, I don't think I want to go to New York City for Thanksgiving. Like, I'm glad y'all are excited about it. And I don't not want to spend time and be there for fun things. But, like, you guys are still excited about this kind of shit. And that sounds awful to me. Like, I am, like, I fucking hate the cold. I fucking hate crowds, especially crowds in the cold. I mean, like, I'm so over.
What about crowds in the cold when it's crowded and cold outside?
That's the fucking worst, And then they're going to eat steak on Thanksgiving. And I'm like, I don't really want that. And, they're going to go to these museums and that sounds fun. But again, like, you got to get there. And I don't feel like doing that. Anyway, I was just like, even if I didn't have this show, she's like, well, I don't want you to be by yourself. And I'm like, do you realize that there's not really a man in the United States of America that you could say, hey, you have zero responsibility on Thanksgiving. You can sit in your favorite chair with your dogs, watch football and drink beers all day. Nobody's going to fuck with you. I don't care how many naps you take. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And, but anyway, I'm very happy to be coming over to your house to do all those things. And, I have a video to show Tyler. Me and your son were talking about marching bands the other day, and I almost sent you this video. But the A&M band did this fucking routine that, like, you can't get your head around it. You can't get your head around how they're doing this with people and playing a song at the same time. So I got to remember to show that to him when I get
Well, yeah, I can't wait to see that. That's been kind of a fun thing with him being in band lately. I heard y'all talking about this and I was kind of telling you, but on this show, we've talked so many times about how I wish YouTube was a thing whenever we were kids, because, you and I learned by listening to cassettes, and maybe seeing a MTV video, but I mean that's like a little burst of a video, so we learned by ear and by sitting behind the drum set and just working on it until you can figure it out. And now with YouTube, you can watch some of the best drummers in the world put on a clinic or play this or teach you how to do this song or this rudiment or whatever. And it's awesome because we've talked about this, but now that he's in percussion at school, I'm watching him actually do this. He'll go watch a YouTube clip of something that he can't play, and he'll slow it down to 50% and figure out the sticking and figure out how to do it, and then put it on 75% speed and then learn it. And then he gets it to where he's playing it for real. And it's, I don't know, it's awesome.
No, you're exactly. I mean, honestly, there's a couple of drummers that I follow online who all they do is break down what other drummers do for you. Like, that's their whole content thing. And it's fucking brilliant because it's like there's a dude that tries to break down that one guy, that dude who's the best drummer that's ever lived and everybody agrees with. He'll like try and break down that guy's shit. And it's just like, you got to just wait for him to do it for you, because
it's almost impossible to break that down.
You can, it's unbelievable what that guy is doing with his feet.
He's changing the game.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And you guys got to know who we're talking about. It's if you've seen a drummer, if you don't follow drummers online and you've seen a drummer on Instagram or TikTok, it's that guy. But he like
the Spanish guy with the big beard, and I can't think of his name right now. I'm seeing if I can find it.
He just drinks a cup of coffee and plays Slipknot songs with one hand. And it sounds like there's two dudes doing it. And there's no trickery. He's got cameras on all of his limbs and you're watching him do it. And
yeah, there's one video where, obviously people are giving him guff, being like, this isn't real. You're speeding up the video or something. And so there's one video where he's holding an iPad in one hand with like the clock, the stopwatch. So you can see that time is real.
Yeah.
And then he's playing the song with one hand and it's insane.
Yeah, he's something else, man. But yeah, I'm excited to come over and I'm happy to be hanging out with Margaret and your in-laws, and I'll be watching them like a hawk to see what funny stuff they do.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We're happy you're coming over. Going to be a fun time. We'll cook some more turkey since you've already had some.
Oh no, I can never have too much. It's my favorite meal.
Tyler does not really like turkey, but he's almost 13. So he's at an age where he's always being a goofball. And he's like, I'm going to eat a whole turkey. So I don't know if I need to cook two or not. I don't know. Yeah. I don't have two to cook.
Man, we had one of those weird breakthrough things that happened the other day where Everett never eats his chicken or anything. And Casey made chicken piccata and we didn't say anything to him and he just ate it. And then the next day I went and had lunch with him at school and he was like, you want my turkey? And I was like, no, I have plenty here. And I just look over and he ate his turkey. And he's the same way. He wants the stuffing and the mashed potatoes. But, and Casey was like, what the hell's happening? And I go, I don't know. Let's just not say anything, just keep putting it on his plate and just see if, maybe he's having his own sort of breakthrough here, because he was like, this chicken piccata is delicious. And we were like, holy shit.
So if he said something that goes against what I was going to say, but we talk about this all the time. Nick and I, we're horrible parents. We're not good at parenting. We don't have the sit down dinner all the time. And there's plenty of times where we have different dinner at different times, right?
Yeah.
And
you're not terrible parents, and nobody has sit down dinners. With kids like we have and schedules like we have. Trust me.
But there's some nights where we're setting the plate down in front of Mia. In our kitchen, we have a desk area and there's a TV in there. And so there's times where she's watching TV at that desk area and eating dinner in front of the TV.
Nothing wrong with that.
And there's times where she's like, I don't want whatever, right? Whatever we make. It doesn't matter. Just make it. I don't want that. That's kids, right?
Yeah.
And but if she's already watching something, we can just set it down in front of her. And if she's watching it, she'll just eat the whole thing and not even know that she ate it because she's watching TV.
Yeah. He's a real big at 11. He'll eat anything. But he does that thing. Jack used to do this where he just basically doesn't want what you're having just because he just doesn't want that because that's what you're having. But it's fine. So it's like yesterday I took all three kids to Potbelly sandwiches. I don't really want that. We get in there and he eats this meatball sub and he eats the whole fucking thing. It's all over his face and shit. This kid devoured this thing. And I'm just like, yeah, that wasn't any good. He's like, this is literally my favorite sandwich in the world. It's funny how kids,
with Tyler, usually if I'm cooking, he's happy with whatever, right? But there's times when we're going to go somewhere or we're going to order. And usually I give him a vote. And that's how I preface it. I'm like, hey, if you could pick, I'm not saying you can pick, but if you can pick, what would you like tonight? Just that way, it's if he wants a cheeseburger, we're not going to go to the Asian place, just completely different, right?
Totally.
But we still may. I'm saying you get a vote, but you're not picking. But it's so many times he'll be like, can we go get a cheeseburger? And I'm like, how's Mexican food? And he's just like, sounds great.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Kids are so funny, man. What a dance. Just a goddamn fucking dance we're doing here. And speaking of parenting, coming up here right after the break, Ken Block from Sister Hazel. We're going to talk band stuff. We're going to talk rock boat stuff. We're going to talk parenting. This is just one of the most just good dudes. I feel like we're killing it. It's like, I feel like Edwin McCain and like all these 90s rockers are just good guys, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe we're on to something. Mark McGrath, right? Like they've all just been like, man, I just want to sit at a fucking in a circle. Like, you know, I want them to join in our time, you know, how we have our time, you know?
Do you think it's like a phase of life type thing or a phase of career? It's like, you know, everyone's still trying to go get theirs, but it's like not chasing quite as hard and maybe enjoying a little bit more.
It might be. Yeah. And I definitely think there's a lot of that. I think that taking yourself too seriously is in the past. I think for most everybody, and I realize we still go pretty hard when we tour, but we never really got into drugs and stuff. And you hear these guys all talking about, you know, the real partying, you know, like all that. And I think those days are past them. And, you know, most of them have kids and, you know, kids, if nothing, certainly will, you know, make you, oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like not, like they make it to where you kind of can't be as full of yourself as you are, you know, when you're hanging gold records on the wall in your fucking 30s and you're just, you know, it's gotta be like, yeah, I'm a fucking badass. And that they humble you. Kids humble you very quickly in so many ways, you know, because they don't give a shit. You know, it's like we talked about so many times before, you know, I fucking get up and make me some cereal and you know, and then I can clean up this fucking mess, Dad.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't care that you've been on the road for 6 weeks and you got home at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
It's cereal time.
It matters not to me, sir. I'm looking forward to you guys hearing this. We will be right back after this with Ken Block. Y'all hang out. Listen to this. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. And as I said earlier, we are super stoked here to have the man himself, Sister Hazel, the band behind, I mean, we're going to get into that, but the Rock Boat. Ken Block is with us. What's going on, man?
Doing great. And as always, great to see you two guys.
And you as well. I mean, you know, first things first. I mean, you know, you have one of those songs. We have one. You have one. It's not the whole one-hit wonder thing. It's not what I'm saying at all. But when you get one of those songs that people will forever hear for the rest of their lives, and the next generation is going to hear that song in places or whatever.
Yes.
What a gift.
That's exactly right. I mean, look, people go, they're like, man, do you ever get tired of playing that song? I'm like, it's not like I'm getting off musically playing this song.
Right.
But to watch a room light up.
That's it.
Whether we're in Muskegon, Michigan, or,
that's it.
You know, South Korea.
Yep.
It's like, what a gift it is to be able to look, I talk about the fact that our job is when people come to see us or plug into what we do, is that they leave feeling a little bit better than when they got there.
100%.
And we both have something that is a great tool, a great vehicle to help people kind of transport from wherever spotty spot they're in right then to a feeling good thing. It's pretty remarkable, isn't it?
It's
and when you're playing a live show, you're feeding off the energy of the crowd. So to the question of like, oh, do you get tired of that? It's like, that's the moment that they get the most excited. So,
and you're plugged into it, man. It's just man.
We both have been around long enough too, though, that we have run into those artists, and we don't have to mention names, but those artists that don't like that. They're not happy that, you know, everybody is there to, you know, and so we sort of joke about it. You know, again, I don't consider either of our bands one hit wonders. We certainly have one hit that is bigger than the rest of them. Certainly. And people will shout out 1985 Second Song. And I'm just like, hey, listen, you have a long ways to go because we're going to play that last, you know. We're not crazy. You know, but there are bands that are super irritated by that. And it's like, man, you do you not realize what a gift it is that they even know one song by you?
I mean, you're already in the 0.1%.
Exactly.
Every kid that grabbed an instrument and played in a garage, right?
100%. I say it all the time. You know, 99.99999% of the people in the world have pretended to do what we do in the mirror. Like
absolutely,
every single person in the world, and
playing with hairbrushes,
exactly,
into a comb,
exactly.
But
that's just like
that's kind of the beauty of getting to do it, though. Is like whenever we were in the garage or wherever doing it, it was fun.
Yeah,
and the
absolutely.
next step happened and it was fun. And the next step happened and it was fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ken Block from Sister Hazel, of course. And you guys, famously, I just got to, I'm sure you've talked about it 1,000 times, but we do have Rock Boat 2024 coming up, Bowling for Soup. We're so excited to be back on. KT Tunstall. We've got John Foreman. Lit is going to be there. I mean, just obviously you guys and y'all do such a good job of making sure each one is unique and fun and positive and just, and supportive of music, of music and musicians coming up. Just take me back to the start of this whole thing and how crazy people probably thought you were.
Well, they thought we were nuts. Well, the first thing that happened was we started, we always have kind of tried to tear down that wall between artist and fan. And there was, a lot of bands try to keep that mystique and all that. And that's just not authentic for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could try that, but that would have been the mystique mistake. I think for us, it was about plugging in and having conversations like this. And people, we had been probably like you guys started, we're down in Texas, right?
Yep.
Playing every little club, pub and whatever we would have you. Same with us, van and trailer for years. And you wanted to thank those people that took us from a van and trailer to our first big platinum record. And it was like, let's do something together. And we decided we would charter half a boat. We took half a boat, one other band, took them out there and walked off the boat and went, we're on to something.
Yeah.
And that is where, we get to have conversations with people. We get to have, unique shows. We get to, you see someone in the buffet line and by the pool and at the show. You know what I mean? And so next year we're going to festival this thing. And it's going to be about having some veteran artists that we get, you got to sell cabins. It costs, you can't just, they don't give you a boat. You got to charter it.
Sure.
Get some veteran artists out there and get that next level of bands that we want you to find your next favorite band on the boat.
Right. Yeah.
Because we were the band that was looking to get spotted or get in front of people. Right. And the other thing that was really important to us was that it was not a battle of the bands. It was about community, camaraderie, and collaboration, right?
Yeah.
And whether that is between the artists who pass each other in truck stops and on highways all the time, who get to finally hang out. How often do you get to hang out for a few days and see 30 shows? You know what I mean?
Right.
And get inspired by that and get to talk to other bands. And I mean, I remember Rob, your bass player, I must have seen him in the front row of 15 shows.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're fans, and
exactly.
We enjoy that. I mean, we're very lucky to come from, the pop punk and punk rock world, and where we had Warped Tour, we got to do that all the time.
Absolutely.
And we got to be fans and friends and all of that, but you don't really get that opportunity a whole lot. And it is nice. I think the other thing that's sort of that is Warped Tour-ish that you guys do is like, oh yeah, you can see that band on this huge auditorium stage, but you're also going to see those guys in the atrium, or you're going to see them in here. It's like, we're going to give you, this experience to be able to see. But not only that, it's nice for the band too. It's like, hey, here's this grandiose thing, but here's this thing where you can sit there and you can do this kind of show.
It feels like those club shows. Club shows are really different energy than a festival show, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you present differently. The feel's different. The engagement is different.
Yeah.
And so to be able to have all of those kind of things, and you guys even did, if I remember, because I saw about half of you did an acoustic set too. And
we did it in the auditorium. It was packed, and it was we got amazing feedback from that. And I wonder, I wonder, and I feel like you guys sort of have your hand on the pulse of like what's going on in the boat pretty much most of the time. But are you aware that when we're not playing, we never leave the same bar? Like we're at the same bar literally the entire time.
You're like Norm from Cheers.
Yeah,
right?
we really are.
Pretty
I
much,
feel like we should start naming that the Bowling for Soup bar when we're
I am
there.
aware that you have a spot where you post up, but here's the thing. It's like, let the world come to you.
Exactly. There's not one person. It's so funny because I'll see that in the comments. It's just like, Yeah, we got to meet this band and this band. Well, everybody got to meet Bowling for Soup.
Exactly.
Because if you're,
Other people are like chasing around.
Yeah.
Here they come to you. I thought it was brilliant.
We're right there every time. And that we started that. We did that same boat for the Warped Tour cruise. And then we did your boat. It was just like, well, we already have our spot. Yeah. And man, we love it so much. It's just such a great vibe. And
and guys like you, I thought Lit did a great job too. We were talking about them. I think it takes some artists a minute to go, what is this?
Yeah.
What is the, and it takes other artists step in and go, I am in my element.
Yeah.
And you guys just jumped right in and just crushed it. The Lit guys jumped in.
Yeah.
They got it right away. And there are some, listen, when we first started doing this thing, right in 2000, think about it, that's 23 years ago.
Yeah.
We would band and we'd be like, we want to bring you out on the boat. And they'd be like, wait a minute. We're going to be on a ship for days with the bands.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah. And they're like, that sounds insane.
Yeah.
So we had to get guys like you that would come out and come back and like testify. Look, it's great. The fans are awesome. Mm-hmm. They're respectful. They're passionate. They're the right people you want to have in your camp.
It is. You guys have done an amazing job of making that culture. It's just such a fun vibe. Mm-hmm. Everyone there is respectful and happy to be there and happy to go see that band. And then they're running from stage to stage the whole trip.
And that's what I would tell all of the bands who have asked me, about it. And I'm just like, dude, it's not like what you think. Like, everybody there isn't losing their mind and crying because they're meeting you. They're all just stoked and they're very respectful of your time. And they'll just like wave to you and be like, hey, later, I'm going to get you to sign this or whatever. And you're like,
and they're on their way to the next stage.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. And we have, it is a meet and greet, right? So
exactly.
Know that there's going to be a moment that they're going to get a chance to get something signed or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they don't feel like that. I'm never going to get this opportunity again.
Let's switch gears a little bit off a rock boat because, obviously, highly successful and sold out in advance, well in advance. Again, it's just such a cool thing that you've done. And I do have to ask you though. I mean, you guys are sort of the instigators of the whole thing. I mean, do you take it as a compliment how many other cruises there are these days? I mean, because there is a freaking cruise for everything now.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. I could be a little bitter about some of that, but I appreciate it when people who have gone on to start some of these new ones go, hey, this whole thing started back with Sister Hazel and Six Man. That name, Andy Levine, he called his management company Six Man, which we funded. Because he was like the sixth man of the band. He was the sixth man of the band. That's what it was, right?
Wow.
So it's going to grow and all these other things. So, when Anthony Diaz or some of the Six Man folks go, hey, this would not have happened had we not had this template that we built through Sister Hazel those first few years. Mm-hmm. That feels really good to kind of have that.
Yeah.
And I feel like the rock boat has its own fingerprint.
Sure.
There's a little bit more diversity. The community is fairly unique on board.
Yeah, very strong.
There are, man. There's like wrestling cruises and
I mean it's everything. And I guess you could see some of those as being like, okay, well that's competition or like
now listen, there are some that there have been some overlap on that we've had to have some conversations about. Say, look, let's try to have some lanes.
Right.
We don't want three boats that half the same bands are on each boat. That doesn't make sense because it cannibalizes each of them.
Sure.
You have your own fingerprint, your own lane. And so we do have some of those conversations, but
it only makes sense that it would work like that. I mean, it works like that on land, right? If you go play a show in this city, there's a non-compete. If you go do this festival, there's a non-compete.
Yeah. That's exactly right, Gary. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about fatherhood for a little bit. And here's why I'm shifting it. By the way, don't let the recording thing that came on in the middle bug you. I was recording the whole time, but
that's okay. Okay. I was counting, doing the math.
Yeah. Okay. You're just like, oh my God, we lost. No, we got everything. So, let's talk. We just did an entire interview with Marty Ray Project, and we forgot to talk about being a dad. So let's get into fatherhood for you. Tell us a little. Well, first of all, just tell us about your family. Introduce us to everybody.
All right. So I've been married now for 29 years.
Congrats! Wow.
A girl named Tracy, and she's just still the room stops moving, starts spinning and stops moving when she walks in for me. We have 3 kids. They're a little bit older now. They're 22, 20, and 18. So I have 2 in college, one who's graduating in high school. And they are fantastic. Chance is my oldest. Marley's my middle. Elena. They're all rock boaters. They're all music fans, but none of them are actually musicians. So it's nice to have people like that to kind of bounce off who love, they'll listen to all the old classic bands that we listen to and turn me on to, some of the younger bands that I may miss. Actually, some of the bands I pulled on Rock Boater because they turned me on to. But yeah, I have such a great relationship with my kids and our family, man. I feel like, thank God I don't get what I deserve. You know what I mean? I was thinking before I got on here, I was thinking all the things with my particular kids.
Yeah.
All the things that I worried about because of my trials and tribulations and challenges were all the wrong things for my kids. Mm-hmm. Like, I was a partier. I got into some mischievous stuff. I worried about them getting bullied or not being connected to their family or taken away. Those aren't the things that I've had to navigate with them.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It's really, really great. And they're very, very close, which I think as a parent is one of the things I would consider Tracy and our greatest successes as parents is that they're close, man. Like they're super tight. Like my youngest and my oldest still talk every day.
Yeah.
And we have the family chat that's probably as funny as our band chats are.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Not quite as inappropriate.
Sure.
But but still funny, and they're all doing better than I deserve.
The things that you're worried about that you luckily they missed, is it things that you can attribute to your childhood was different, upbringing's different? Is it just a different time period, or just kind of lucked out on those things?
I think it's a combination of those things. I think that Tracy and I were both very aware of certain things, so that my parents were a little bit more naive, so I could kind of color outside the lines a little easier and hide a few things that my kids, we were just talking about those things. We were talking about them constantly. So they just weren't as interested in kind of diving into some of those things that were like shiny objects to me. So, I think the open line of communication, I had a brother I lost to cancer when I was a teenager. And so I worried about them getting sick and some of that stuff. None of that happened. Mm-hmm. And so I was so grateful just for every day that, look, man, they're doing okay in school. Did they leave dishes out on the counter? Yeah, absolutely. But like my wife would be like, they're good. I'm like, let me tell you the 900 things that went right today. Right?
Yeah, right.
Like, nobody's got to go to rehab. We're not getting truancy calls. No one's getting bullied today. And so I think it was that communication. I think keeping them busy, keeping them engaged in whatever they choose to be in people's kids. I always tell them, man, idle time and but keeping them involved in music or sports or the arts or whatever it is that they're interested in has been really important. And they've been much better students than me. They were all 3 in they call it Cambridge program here in high school, which is kind of like that IB, advanced placement kind of class stuff. But so they had positive peer pressure. I was in bands, and the positive peer pressure was, are you going to do a funnel before we do this next song? Or are you going to do 2 funnels before we do this? You know what I mean? Like, and their positive peer pressure is, you're not going to get a B on that quiz next week, are you? That kind of thing. And it's been, they all would rather have had academic pressure than kind of social pressures. Mm-hmm. So they surrounded themselves with kids that were pretty good kids, and it's been really nice to see that. And I've been able to tell, like, there's, you guys will get a kick out of this. So my kids are like I said, 22, 2018. Ryan, our guitar player, who's 50 now, right? He's got 2 kids under 5.
What?
He's got 2 kids under 5, and the others are in the middle in our kids, right?
Right.
He's all nervous, and I'm like, man, he's so nervous about, hearing all these things about kids these days, which all of us have heard. Right?
And these are his first kids. Like he doesn't have older kids. Okay, all right, interesting.
First kids, right?
Wow.
And so he's dealing with a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old right now, and it's like he's nervous about. And I'm like, man, my kids they're involved in social issues. They give a shit about the world. They give a shit about people that don't look like them or sound like them. They give a shit about their academics. They're not mean-spirited, and they're not lazy. Yeah, And I look at some of the work and stuff they do. I'm like, I wouldn't have done. I was much more interested in music and chasing girls and playing football and surfing in Florida. My kids are like, they're not so. I hope I don't sound like a bragger.
You sound like a dad.
Sound like a dad. There you go.
Yeah.
I will say, I'll step into another color, and I think I can talk about this now a little bit. The biggest curveball our family. We have two sort of big curveballs with our kids. One was our youngest, Elena, when she was 4. She got mauled by a dog, like really viciously mauled by a dog.
Oh,
and
my
so
God.
We weren't sure if it was about, she had to stay out of school for a year. She couldn't move half her face for a year. It was terrifying.
Oh my God.
But we made it through that. She got used to her face back. She's beautiful. She's got scars that look like character wounds now.
Yeah.
That was one of those sort of things like that. And I'm pleased to say that she's just a champ.
Is there trauma left over? I mean, as far as like about dogs and things like that?
It's interesting you say that, because one of the first things she said when she was 4, she got out of the hospital. One of the first things she said was, please don't let him do anything to Charlie. So what happened was, there's your grandfather's dog. Chance, my son, was throwing a tennis ball into a bedroom. The dog was bringing it out, throwing it in. He threw it in. She was in there, closed the door, and went to hug him around the neck. He had the ball, threw it, and just tore up.
Yeah.
She wanted to make sure nothing happened to the dog. Right. Like she's like our whole family. We're big dog rescue people. And she has absolutely no fear of dogs, which is fantastic.
Yeah. That is
and it was, I was on the road, man. I get the call. We were in Atlanta.
Jesus.
It was one of those weird days where it snowed in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Like everything slowed down, traffic's in gridlock, and I had to somehow make it back to Florida. But I got the phone call. My mother-in-law, she couldn't tell me what was going on. So my brother-in-law grabbed it, who I've actually known him since I was 12 years old. His words to me were, Ken, I don't know how they're going to put her back together.
Oh my God.
And I was terrified. And they took her to the first hospital, and the first hospital goes, we don't even know where to start. We can't even do this. Luckily, they were near Daytona Beach, and it was the Daytona 500 that weekend, and they had a plastics team on call.
What?
500.
Wow.
They came in. That's serendipitous, right? They came in, did the work. They did amazing work. Like I said, she had almost 200 stitches everywhere through. But that was great. But imagine getting your kid to the hospital with those kind of injuries and then going, we don't even know where
you're looking to these people that they're supposed to lead the process, and they don't know. That's terrifying.
That's such a fear. I mean, I think about that shit all the time, though, right? Like you see some football injuries, and you're like, where do they start on that?
Right.
But I just thank God for the people that
on your side of things, on that situation, kind of your mentality of this. Do you think that it being a family pet, a family dog, and even your daughter's attitude of, I hope nothing happens to the dog. Do you think that, I don't want to say made the situation easier for you, but kept you from having some anger, some vengeance, some...
Absolutely. Yeah. I think her attitude set the tone, right away, we're going to follow her lead a little bit. But I think we understood that particular dog had his own story prior to that happening, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
before he was rescued. And so we felt a little bad for that. Yeah, the first thought that goes through your head is I'm going to put a bullet in that animal.
Sure. 100%. Yeah.
But that passes pretty quickly. You know what I mean? You're focused on her, and then we kind of took the lead from there.
Yeah.
But she's doing great, man. I mean, I landed we had a show in Boston on Sunday. I landed 4 p.m, drove to her soccer game, got to watch her play soccer for her high school this weekend.
Yeah.
Here's a great me as a young person versus them as a young person. So I went last night. She had a game about 45 minutes away from here in a little town called Green Cove Springs, Florida. And I was thinking, wow, when I was like 19, I spent the night in jail here. I've been pulled over. I had a suspended license, ended up going to jail. And I'm like, and now here I am watching my daughter in Clay County play soccer with her friends, not having any of the same issues I was having at that age.
Wow.
And so fortunate, man. Blessings all the way around. So.
No kidding.
That's fantastic.
Where were you guys as far as like being a band, I guess, then like when you guys started having kids? I mean, we talked about this a bunch.
Right. Like, we had already kind of hit, like Tracy and I got married. Ironically, it's not very interestingly, we got married 3 months before we got our first record deal.
Oh, wow.
We were in the van and trailer, playing mostly the Southeast, doing all that. And that was we got a deal in 96. Record came out in 97. I think she got pregnant with Chance, our oldest, in 99, and he was born in June of 2000.
Right.
And so I don't know how it went for you guys, but like, I'm the oldest guy in the band, and I was first guy to get married. I was first guy to have kids. Mm-hmm. We came in with that attitude of, you can't say no to anything, man. You're playing every gig.
We know that.
Every radio show. But every time I had a kid like Tracy, who's very smart and strong-willed, she would say, hey, man, you can't be gone 25 days this month. We're going to have to dial that back a little bit. And so I remember when we kind of knocked it back to look, man, I can be gone about 18, 20 days a month, and so we started doing it. And every time I had a kid, more rules would kind of come in.
Yeah.
And every time people go, that'll never work. We made it work, right? Where we kind of have a thing now. This is probably unique to our band, but we try to never do more than 10 shows in a month. Usually it's more like 7 or 8. And we try to never be gone more than like 5 nights in a row. That nights thing was real important. And what we found at our house and some of the other guys was that after 5 nights of being gone, the disconnection really, really felt more, right?
Yeah.
And being able to come home, even if it was for 48 hours, come home, plug in, you're not really recharging, but you're reconnecting.
Yeah.
Before you kind of go back out. And so every time I had a kid, we kind of, and so all the other guys benefited. From some of the rules that my wife really, she's not a Yoko type, but she's definitely look. This is what I believe very strongly, that if it's not working at home, it's not going to work anywhere. You're just a mess, right?
Were the guys supportive of that? I mean, as far as
first they were confused by it. Mm-hmm. Like Ryan, it's I'm going to say hilarious. He won't say it's hilarious. But Ryan right now with 2 kids under 5 is like, he'll start to say, you guys don't understand. And then he remembers that we all have kids.
Right, exactly.
So, when you don't have a frame of reference, you're like, well, why? Why do you have, we can't do that. This is important. And so as, Jet had kids next, and then Andrea. And so as they're having more kids, they're going, I get it. And so basically what we have done is, family first. And if someone calls up and says, or someone reaches out and says, look, I got to block off this day.
Yeah.
We know that it's already gone through the filter of, do I have to do it? Is there another way we can get around this? What is it about? If we understand that we don't have anybody in the band that's manipulating the system.
Yeah.
So that we can get extra time off.
We have so many similarities. I mean, that's pretty much our story. all of it. You know, yeah, it's all pretty much how we have. I'm not the oldest. Chris is the oldest, but first guy to have kids, and we never said no to anything, and then that's when kind of the rules started. But we also have, you know, you filter out those blackout days, because if you don't, you know, you got 4 guys in the band, and then, you know, some crew guys that have to be there. It's like, we can't all have 10 of these a year. Like,
that's right. At least get together and coordinate something, or pick when you're going to block something off.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you both have kids. How old are yours?
So mine are, sorry, Gary, mine are about to be 21, 18. And then I have a 11-year-old as well. So
nice.
Yeah.
I've got a 6-year-old and almost 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Guys, right in the thick of it, man.
And then
great.
Rob has a 18-month-old And so, you know, it's that same thing. We're all at different stages in our fatherhood and all of that. And, you know, and it's cool. We have the exact same thing though, where, like, you know, when I was flying home on date, like for one day off, coming home for 36 hours, you know, Gary is younger than me and was still, you know, we're rock stars, and they're having fun. And he, you know, they thought I was crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier, like, the other guys were confused by it. That's a perfect word, because we had done the thing where it's like, hey guys, we're gonna be gone. We're gonna miss weddings, funerals, birthdays, anniversaries. We're gone,
man.
Yeah. And then whenever Jaret had kids, it's like, well, I need to be home for trick or treating, and we're like, trick or treating? Who gives a shit about? Come on, and, you know. And he's flying home for one day, and we're like, we're gonna go to the casino for one day.
That's
you know,
right.
Yeah, and
we're that day on the airplane.
Yeah. And then once I have kids, I'm like, got it.
Okay. I get it. You just don't have a frame of reference, man.
Yeah.
It's funny because Ryan said one time, I'm sorry to be throwing you under the bus, Ryan. I love you because I know you remember him saying one time, because he had two schnauzers that he'd had for years. He was like, and I kind of know what it's like to have kids. I got dogs. I'm like, dude, it is absolutely not the same. I got to get up and they got to go out and I got to feed them. And, you know, I'm like, no, not the same thing, man.
Everyone kind of thinks that. And dogs are like training wheels for kids. Yeah, you know, it's just not quite there.
Good start. They got to eat and they got to go out. But that's getting your feet wet, right? Yeah. Training wheels is a good phrase for that.
There are certain dog parents. My drummer is one where they're like, they're meat grinding its food, and it goes to like a special school and wears shoes and shit. You know, it's like listen, you're a lot of this. You're training that thing not to even be a dog anymore. You know, exactly. Like that's a lot of that. I mean, I don't know, when you're feeding your dog like raw everything, what happens when that thing gets into a fucking cake? Because it's gonna happen. You know, like,
exactly.
It's good.
They're like grinding up and like mashing meats together.
They are.
They're not making anything for dinner for everyone else.
Oh my goodness! Right? Yeah, I make fun of it, but I mean they're doing the damn thing, man.
I've got a hard enough time. I'm the cook in our house, and everyone's picky, and I do something I'd say I would never do, but like I'll make my wife a meal, and my son a different meal, and my daughter a different. I'm not making the dog a fourth meal.
Man, it's hard enough, right? It is hard enough. Meals are tough at our house too.
Yeah,
that's always been kind of a tough. Keeping everybody happy, making sure it's not shit food.
Yeah. Because it's so easy. And especially, you know, once COVID happened and we lived off Uber Eats for 2 years, it's so hard not to fall back into that sometimes because you get so busy.
And it's delicious.
That's the other thing, you know? It's just it's just bonkers, you know, this whole family thing. But so the kids are they're so you got one that's into soccer, your youngest.
I actually had two. My daughter Marley was also she was a high level soccer player, had offers to play everywhere literally, and she just woke up one day right before college and went, I'm not gonna play. She said, I want to focus on school. I spent my entire youth really, she was doing, you know, where a lot of travel ball, you know, tournaments all over, all that stuff. And she had tore her ACL her junior year. And that was the first time she got home where she hadn't had to fill in every gap with soccer training and all this stuff. And I think she went, there might be more to the world out there than just this. And I, you know, as a dad, at first I went, I'm exaggerating here. I'm like, do you know how much we've invested in your soccer career?
Exactly.
And then secondly, I was like, you at least try it, see what it is. But I had to step back and go, it's her decision, and let her see how it is. And it's been great for her because so far she's excelled in college. She's really learning a lot. She's blowing my mind with some of the stuff she's coming home and talking to me about.
Yeah.
As she's beginning to adult.
That is hard. I mean, I have not experienced that, but my niece was a competitive swimmer in high school and wanted and went and trained with the Olympic team and did all this stuff. And then when it came time to go to college, she was just like, I've spent my entire life. I'm exhausted and I want to have some fun and I want other responsibilities, like
other things to explore.
I want to go get a job. She was just like, I want to just have a normal life. And, I think sometimes it's funny. Me and Gary were talking about this on last week's episode. I'm not going to use the word caught up. I think we all get passionate about things that our kids are into. So it's like, we both have kids right now that are playing baseball. So right now we're pretty passionate about the sport of baseball. We watch the Rangers win the World Series with our sons and
our drummer Mark, same thing.
Yeah. Right.
High level baseball son. Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? You get passionate about that. And so not only are they sort of stopping doing this thing for them, they're sort of in this weird sort of way, they're taking something out of your life. Like you like going to those games and rooting for them.
Like I said, I'm eating up my Helena probably could play at a small school, but I think she doesn't want to either. But I'm trying to not miss a second of it now. Like I was always pretty cognizant of that. But I loved watching Marley play. I did not want to see her play anymore. I think my wife felt a little bit like, I'm going to get in so much trouble for this interview. I don't think my wife's going to watch it. And I think part of her identity a little bit, not all of it, of course, but there's a piece of the support that she had given Marley, when I was traveling or some of that too, through driving her to Orlando and Jacksonville, all this stuff. There's this investment. And when your kid does well, it's if your kid's a great singer, your kid's a great dancer, you gotta feel like it must be a little to do with the parenting, right?
Right.
So you feel a little pat on the back and all that, and then 100%. When it's over, there's a little bit of sadness for it being gone, and then a little bit of who you've been supporting that for so long.
Go ahead,
couples have a lot of trouble once kids get out of high school and go to college, and because you've been taking them to practice and this and that, whatever it is, and then you're like, well, I have all this time now. We have all this time now. What do we
do anymore? Right?
Yeah. My daughter came to we have a Christmas party every year, and actually, no, it wasn't that. It was Christmas Eve. We do a thing where our neighbors come over and we all have drinks and just enjoy a holiday before a holiday. And me and my daughter were sitting there, and she said, Dad, do you miss, when I was little? Like, do you miss? And I said, Emma, there's things that I miss. There's little cute little reminders, and there's things that like I'm just like, oh, I wish maybe we would have spent more time doing this or this. But the fact that you and I can sit here and you can have your White Claw and I've got my Miller Lite and we're just having a conversation and just hanging out together, I'm like,
she has opinions that are like, wow.
Exactly. I'm just like, it's just nice to just be able to spend time with you in this capacity.
Like you. Yeah. Like you're running someone I like. And that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And that's what I would say to parents as you sit there and you're going, it's going by too fast. It's always going to seem like that. But, you don't really ever get to the point where you're not their parent, and, and it seems like you have done it right. My kids don't text me as much as I wish they did, but every other day, and we talk quite a bit. But
I'll tell you another thing that worked out well and some of it has to be dumb luck. Some of it hopefully is that they saw some good example, is that all of my kids' significant others, they would all rather hang out here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, good for you.
I love that. I love it. In fact, it's funny because my daughter Marley's boyfriend, he's an engineering student at University of Florida here in Gainesville. And my daughter Elena's boyfriend just started college, and he's taking a math class that he needs help in, right? So my kids are all gone, and I hear a knock at the door, and it's Noah and Danny. It's my daughter's boyfriends. They're coming in, and he's going to tutor him here at our house, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, none of my kids are here.
Yeah.
But this is the best place to come and hang out.
Isn't that cool?
Right. I was like, are you kidding me, man?
Yeah.
I felt like that was a parenting win.
That is a huge parenting win.
That's like the parenting made it.
Yeah. That's it, man.
It
I quietly tell Tracy, I'm like, can you believe they're here?
Yeah.
They're like doing math.
Yeah.
And they're hanging out.
Yeah.
I will say, I wanted to circle back around to this because there was a curveball that came in our house. And I don't talk about it a lot, but I'm beginning to a little bit more for various reasons. But my son's the best. Chance's like the nicest, coolest, smart kid, great. And he came out as he was coming out of high school. And that, in this little small town of Gainesville, Florida,
Sure.
Was I shocked? Was I, no. Have I always been supportive of people living the lives that they want?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When it's your kid, there's fear around that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to talk about my experience with it for a second, because we're talking about parenting here.
Right.
And that is two things. The first thing is we are in a little bit of a cycle where it feels like that might be, there's unsafe places, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are, I was, like I just said, I was raised in this little town in the South as open-minded and loving as my family was. It wasn't like that everywhere around here. And so I'm almost embarrassed to say that I was nervous to tell some of the people closest to me.
Yeah.
I was nervous to tell my band guys at first. And not like they didn't have a suspicion. He's not a particularly flamboyant kid or anything.
Sure.
Which is fine for whoever. I'm just saying he's not. But you just know people, right?
100%.
And so I was nervous. I was a little hesitant within our band. And I this is unusual, I think, especially with two of us. Two of us have very, very different political views and very, very different religious or spiritual views. And ironically, we're the two kind of most alpha people in the band.
Mm-hmm.
We've had to learn how to navigate that or not navigate some of that, right? But I was particularly nervous about bringing it there. And I have to say that everybody has been amazingly cool, supportive.
Yeah.
Again, all the things I really worried about.
Yeah.
That was my shit. It was my shit. Right?
They love you, no matter what.
They love him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just love him tremendously. And that was a good lesson for me, that it was, once again, my shit. You know what I mean? That I was worried about. But look, you do have to change. You do have to change your, you grew up and you have a son and you have daughters and you kind of picture things unfolding a certain way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
With relationships, with kids, with all of that stuff, with everything. When that, although I wasn't completely shocked, it's still an adjustment there, right? And when it becomes a fact, you have to adjust what your prediction of the future is going to look like.
And just the way you talk, right? I mean, you really, even just the way that you speak. You're not pointing out. I get it. My son's 17. I point out cute girls to him. It's just, that's what dads do.
Well, here's the thing, man. My son he's the coolest and he's the funniest, right? And what we believe in our house, really, look, I am as quick as anybody with the off-color jokes, and I have always believed about intent and. We're guys, we rag each other. That's kind of what we do, right? We tease each other a lot. My son, I make all kinds of jokes, and he jumps in with me. We talk. I'll say, dude, I bet you're happy at this pool. Right. It's a great time at the swimming pool here today. That kind of thing.
Totally.
And it's all good. It's always about that intent and knowing somebody's heart and their, we got to be able to laugh about all of our uniquenesses and our differences.
100%.
And we have to, like you said, just don't be an asshole. It's pretty.
And just George Carlin, just it's context.
Context.
It's just context.
You can not just intent though, because also relationship, right?
Sure.
There's people that can say something about one of our band members or one of our great friends, and you can't say that.
That's right.
Now we're going to make fun of each other for that.
That's exactly right. In fact, I'm going to kick your ass for saying it right.
100%.
I will protect this person with my life.
Right.
But I have the relationship right. You're absolutely right. That relationship makes a difference.
Yeah, and sometimes somebody has been around us a little bit too much, and they think they have the right to join in on that, and we're like, no, wait, you don't do that. We do that, but you need to watch your fucking mouth.
That's right.
That's right. I mean, that's just how it
goes.
It
is. I do still see on social media. There's so much. I think people want to take. Look, I'm in a state where we just passed a "Don't Say Gay" bill and all this crazy stuff that's people I love and know support, and it's like I got to figure out how to navigate those relationships. Still,
it's not easy. It's not easy for and in your city of Gainesville, they just gave the key to the city to Laura Jane Grace recently.
Yeah, Laura Jane Grace.
I've known Laura for 20 something years, and I've known her through her change, and I'm a fan of her band and a fan of her. Yeah. But some of the things that I've read on the internet about that, it's just hard for me to imagine that people would take the time to write those words out and send them into the atmosphere. It's hard to believe. It is really hard to believe sometimes.
Or and it's like something for me. It's like things don't make sense when there's so much preaching, especially the intersection of religion and politics. Where love should be at the center of things, it turns out to not be the case, right? Yeah. And it's very difficult when people draw sides and you're a political stripe or a political color, and it makes it where we can't have some of these conversations in a way. They're complex issues that people want to talk about with sound bites,
right? Yeah, very true.
And whether we're talking about gender or sexuality, or whether we're talking about Palestine and Israel, whether we're talking about healthcare or the border, these are complex issues that so many people want a tagline for, and they want to take the people out of it and make it more about a theme.
I think you're 100% right that it's all of these things, complex issues that sound bites can't wrap it all up. And going back to a minute ago, like you had even a bandmate, a close friend that maybe you have some differences with, right? And whenever this happened and you explain things and you tell them something that, well, y'all still love each other and y'all are still friends. And so y'all can disagree, but y'all are friends and relationship, right? And with internet and reading what people write online and the anonymity of all this stuff, we forget that there may be a side that you disagree with, but that doesn't mean that everyone on that side disagrees because of the reason that you think is evil. We may agree on this. Let's solve this problem. It's a different way to get there, right? I think a lot of we're just in this day and age where we think the other side's evil, there's evil on both sides of everything.
Sure. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And but it's, as you said, we don't all agree on everything politically in our band, and we do just fine, Yeah. And
that's what I tell people. I'm like, if we can create together music or art or events or charitable things, if we can run a business together, if we can treat a fan base a certain way, if we can live on a bus together, with these differences, then it can be done.
It can be done. Yeah, it's very true.
It can be done. Let that be a lesson, right? Try to live on you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there are some landmines we know we don't want to step in.
Of course, yeah, and we have those too. Yeah, we definitely
We're
have
not
the
gonna
things
go- we're
where,
not-
yeah,
we're
and
not
you
gonna do
have
that.
certain things that you talk about, and certain issues or whatever that, and honestly, like a lot of times, if once you open up a beer, you're not allowed to talk about any of that shit anyway.
Yeah.
So, man, what a great conversation. We've kept
it's
you
always
way
good.
longer than I said that we would, dude. But
All good, man. Glad to
Ken
talk to you.
Block, Sister Hazel, the Rock Boat. Where would you like to send people to find you on the social medias?
You can find Sister Hazel Band, Facebook, Instagram, do a little bit of TikTok stuff. I'm on Threads now these days. Ken Block, Sister Hazel. We all have our individual pages. You can find us too, or therockboat.com.
Yeah.
For sure, in our charity, Lyrics for Life, raising money for kids with cancer. I told you guys I lost my little brother to cancer.
Yeah,
We're
sorry about
teenagers.
that, but
$3.5 million we've raised in our career for cancer, and that's at Lyrics for Life. So people go check that out.
yeah, good for you guys, man.
And I can't wait to see you guys, man. Gonna see you in a few weeks.
Us too. Yeah, we'll see you for in a few weeks. I might be napping half the first day because of this whole touring.
This
to the
tour
thing.
thing,
Yeah.
it's okay, man. You can order rooms. That's the thing about the boat. People are like, hey, just go. I'm like, man, if you're tired, you have a room. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
just take a break. It's not like a regular festival. You go to your room.
Yeah.
It's as close to going on a vacation while going to work as we can get. It's
It's
awesome. I
man.
can't wait for it. Thank you for
It's
having
the
us
best.
again.
Looking forward to seeing you guys.
Us too, man. We've been talking to Ken Block from Sister Hazel. This is Rockstar Dad Show. Hey, we'll see you guys same place next week, and y'all be good.
Y'all be good.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know. Some rockstar dads who started a show. Until the next episode.